Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we mentioned earlier, we'll be talking about the effects of positive energy, especially for women, and how positive energy would actually help women face their daily responsibilities and challenges. We're very much honored to have with us Dr. Sahar Shawqi. She is an expert in human development. Thank you very much, Dr. Sahar, for coming today.
Thank you very much.
Now, in the beginning, we would like to know a little bit about yourself and why you chose this particular career.
Okay, as you said, my name is Sahar Shawqi. I work as a human capital development or human capital expert, and I'm in charge of developing everything related to people. I've chosen this career because I'm very much into people management, and I am inclined into people development, and by nature I like to be always with people.
Yes.
So you will be surprised when you know that it was not my career in the beginning, because when I started my career it was totally different. I was academic and I was teaching a totally different subjects, and I spent a few years abroad outside Egypt, and when I returned back I decided to shift my career to human development, and this is the reason I'm here today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking about positive energy, Dr. Sahar, how would we define energy in the beginning and positive energy?
Okay. Energy is like a motive, is like something that pushes you into or towards something good that you would do in your life. When we speak about energy, we speak about everything good. Everything that builds your power, that gives you motivation, and we say that it's like a bath that you have to take every day. If you don't take it, you'll stink, and this is why energy is very important, but it has to be inclined into what is good and not what is bad.
And how we can acquire positive energy? How can we do that?
Okay, there are lots of techniques you may talk about. There are physical techniques, there are mind techniques, there are psychological techniques. If you can take, a nutshell of all of this, we can speak about some practices that we need to do on a daily basis for us to be positive. The first thing that you need to do, especially as a woman, is that for you to be able to discriminate between what we call a fact and what is a thought. And you may ask me what is the difference between the two.
Yes.
Yes. In other terms, when you are faced with a problem or a challenge in your life, you need to be able to differentiate between what is my way of thinking and what is the current status quo. Meaning, if something is bad, there is a difference between when you say, I need now as a fact to deal with it, or you will be spending some times into saying, oh my God, it's bad, I cannot manage it. If you say, my God, it's bad, I cannot manage it, this is a thought, but the fact is that you need to deal with it and you need to take a decision about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the first technique that you need to do on a daily basis. The second thing that you need to do for you to be positive. Positiveness, it doesn't mean that you need to be happy. There is a big difference between the two. You can be unhappy, but you have to be positive. Why? Because you know that positiveness is contagious, and when you spend some time with people who are negative, they can contaminate you with negativity. So if you are not a positive person by nature, you will be contaminated, and you will fall into this dilemma of crisis, of sickness, of illness, all these things.
So they say that it's true that some people have positive energy and they give it, and some people absorb negative energy, and that's when people really start feeling headaches or pain, when they absorb a lot of negative energy from negative people, and that would be manifested by complaining a lot about their lives or situations. Is that true?
Correct. You know that lots of physical symptoms are related to stress. And stress is much more related into negativeness. So if I think positive, if there are some diseases, if you ask, for example, a physician or a medical specialist, he will tell you that, for example, the situation is very bad for this particular patient, but if, psychologically we can raise up his morale, You know, we may face this challenge of this medical crisis or this medical illness, because it's not all about, you know, medications. So positiveness adds on, you know, a hormone, you know, that is called the hormone of happiness that you have in your body, that impacts your way of thinking, and on return it will impact your way of dealing with things.
Yes.
If you think negative, your decisions will not be good decisions.
Yes.
If you think positive, your decisions will be accurate and logical decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So affecting morale is actually giving positive energy to people. Perhaps that's why in armies they have this particular department or unit responsible for always giving the soldiers and the officers positive energy and raising their morale, especially during tough times.
Yeah, it's not only in army, if I may say, and now it's everywhere. If you go, for example, to multinational companies or big organizations, you'll find, for instance, the department who is in charge of developing people or in charge of empowering people, because we do have departments like that. These departments are in charge of organizing like team buildings, like activities, social activities, engaging in corporate social responsibilities, all these things that, you know, that engage people will add, you know, this positive energy for employees specifically.
Yes.
So I cannot, you know, limit it only to the to the army.
No, it's not limited, but it's there.
Yeah, it is there. Yes, but
there.
it's everywhere.
Yes. What are the effects of positive energy on us, especially women?
This is a very important and a very good question. Positive energy for women is very important and very vital, because we cannot survive. You know that women face on a daily basis lots of challenges. It can be your house life. It can be, I don't know, your husband.
The children,
it can be
the
children,
family.
It can be the nowadays, you know, the pandemic, the COVID-19, everything that surrounds you. If the woman is not by nature a positive person, she will not be able, you know, to succeed in dealing with what she has around her. This is why we believe that the positive energy has to be the first competency that a woman has to have nowadays, specifically. It's a bit, I'm not into, you know, feminism, because people may accuse me that I'm a feminist. Yes, I am in a way, but as a woman, you need always to think positive. You need always to be, you know, surrounded by this positive energy for you to be able to deal with the challenges that you may face.
Okay, and how we can do that? And is it true that women give each other positive energy, especially during tough times?
Yeah, during tough times, the first thing that I advise women to do is that when you feel that you will fall into this, you know, negative how I say, hole. Okay, what shall I do as a woman? The first thing I shall put myself in the shoes of another friend of mine, who is a very close friend to myself, and like, you know, simulating or like imagining that this friend is facing or having a trouble time in her life. What would I advise her to do for her to face this obstacle? So the way I advise my friend, it will reflect, you know, on me very, you know, very quickly. This is very different than I impose myself this positive energy, because if I tell myself, oh my God, I have to be positive, it may turn into negativity. So I shall put myself into the shoes of another person, provided that this person is very close to myself. For me to be able to give advices, and then these advices will return, you know, positively on me.
Yes. How can we get rid of negative energy, especially when we are under a lot of pressure, as you mentioned? Now we have COVID-19, we have so many challenges, many women are at home, their kids are experiencing online learning, and they are away from their friends, and this is putting pressure on them. They are, all the problems are accumulating inside the house, and she has to work and deal with that. Sometimes this results in some negative energy between the children that she has to handle, between the family, or she would feel under a lot of pressure and she needs to get rid of all this negativity. How can she do that?
Yeah, you know, women can get rid of negative energy easier than men. Why that? because women by nature every day they have daily exercises they do. Yeah, meaning that, you know, they can cook breakfast, they can, you know, exercise, they can go to, for example, to do some jogging, they can listen to music. They have this luxury of, you know, of exercising positive energy. The first rule that you need to do when you wake up in the morning, that we always say to people, practice gratitude. Meaning, I say when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I say thank you. Thank you, God, for giving me a new life. Thank you, God, for allowing me, you know, exactly, to breathe. Thank you, God, for having children. Thank you, God, for being able to move, you know, and to take care of my I don't know, of my family. Lots of things that you need to say thank you about. This is the first element that you will not feel it, you know, but when you say it, it will, you know, it will increase your positive hormone in your body. So it will give you this energy for you to go,
because it makes you actually appreciate everything that you have.
Exactly. It's more than appreciation. Yeah, it's like praising, you know, what everything I have in my life, and be careful not to focus on the negative thing, because, you know, sometimes you have this negative thought that will tell you, oh my God, I'm missing this and that. Don't do that. The minute that you start feeling that you miss something, turn it into what do I have, and don't ask yourself what don't I have. The second rule, that you don't need to compare yourself to others. Never compare yourself to others, because the minute you start comparing yourself to others, you will have this negative way of thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, there are other techniques. Maybe you can listen to music. Personally, I listen to music. If I'm down, I listen to music. Sometimes you sing if you want. You can go to the gym. You can. I have seen a video with a very nice one and funny one too. Like, you know, a circle of women in Tunisia. What is this circle? These women meet on a weekly basis for them to sing. And you have, like, you know, like a pianist, like a person who is playing piano, and this person, you know, is around all these women, and all of them together. It's called actually the women's circle, but in French, yeah, le cercle des femmes. And all of them sing. They can pick up any song they want, and while singing, they dance. And, you know, they add this, you know, this funny atmosphere. And this is one of the techniques that you can do. If you can't, you know, if you can do it now because of the COVID-19, do it, you know, with your children, with your, you know, your close circle of family. Yeah.
The important thing, I believe, Dr. Sahar, is to, as you said, stop focusing on the negative things, because every situation has a good side about it and a bad side. So perhaps focusing on the negative side would actually attract more negative energy and complicate the situation that could have a solution at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But thinking negatively prevents us from seeing the solution or even thinking about it. But perhaps focusing on the good side of anything in life would help us think in a more logic way, or solving any problem that we encounter.
You know what? In science, the negative vibes that are in your brain are, you know, much bigger and larger than the positive vibes. And this is a scientific point of view. It's not my point of view. So for you to be able to be positive, you need to fight the negative. Because the negative has a power on the positive. And this is why we need always to say, I'm not going to think about negativeness, I'm going to be positive. And as you said now, everything in life is possible. There is nothing which is impossible. It may be difficult at the beginning, but, you know, by the time, if you sleep on it, if you take your time, you know, to take a breath, and you think, you start focusing on what you have as a challenge, then it will turn into positiveness, and you'll be able to change your life.
Okay. And how would that actually help in building stable societies and communities?
The societies and communities nowadays, everywhere, all over the world, face lots of problems and challenges. And I think if people are not well equipped with positiveness, they won't be able really to be able to deal with those challenges. So it's not, you know, like a quote that to give to people. I'm not giving you a quote. It becomes a necessity. It becomes very compulsory and important for everybody to be positive, to be able to, you know, to face this level of challenges that we have. Everybody has, you know, this kind of challenge. And talking about the COVID-19, it's a huge challenge. And if we really we are not in that positive mood, or if you are not equipped with this positive attitude, you won't be able to survive.
Or at least realizing
Yeah.
that we can actually think positively, realizing that we can attract positive energy. I think it's very important.
Yes, we can do that, and people need to, like said in the beginning, need to differentiate between happiness and positiveness, because sometimes people ask me, how can I be positive, how can I be, and I have all these problems. I'm not asking you to be happy. I'm asking you to turn your way of thinking into positiveness for you to be able to continue on the road, to survive, because if you don't do that, you will be the first victim, by the way. If you don't think positively, all diseases will impact your body. You will feel, you know, the headaches, you'll feel the back pains, you will feel, I don't know, the shoulder pain, you will feel, you know, the stomach pains, you may have ulcers, you may have lots of problems. I've read, you know, many years back that one of the biggest causes of the cancer, the disease, is the stress. So why don't we, you know, try as much as, we are not angels, I admit, but we have to try as much as we can to be able to deviate from this, you know, negativeness.
Yes.
Yep.
And is it true that we can, quickly, because we're running out of time, but I want to ask this question, is it true that we can actually raise our children on thinking about positive energy and believing in positive energy?
For sure. This is for sure. This is an advice for all women and mothers, because you have to be very careful with your children, because your negativeness impacts badly your children. And the children, you know, are very vulnerable. And when they have a problem at school and they come back to you and they cry and all these things, you don't need to pamper them. You need to transfer, you know, this bad mood of the child into a positive mood for the child to learn out of his mistakes or her mistakes. And when the child starts reflecting on his mistakes, this is a way of, you know, of starting thinking positively. And always tell your child, and this is an advice, if anything happens, help him to ask himself, and so what? I'm always saying this to everybody. So what? What would be the worst case scenario? There is a very famous quote of Stephen Covey, if you have read about him. Covey has always said that there is nothing impossible in life, and between life and death, everything is possible.
Yes.
So if you teach your child that he can or she can face this problem or challenge by thinking positively, you will turn him into a healthy child.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is the best advice with which we can wrap up this edition of Women's World. I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Sahar Shawqi, a human development expert. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in this edition of Women's World. I'm Hana Al-Hamalawi, signing off for now.